Coming up, Tzu Chi volunteers in the Philippines bring aid relief to victims of a fire in Pasay City. In Taiwan, Tzu Chi volunteers celebrate the Dragon Boat Festival with the elderly in a nursing home. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Lee-Shioda. Thank you for joining us. In the Philippines, a residential fire broke out in Pasay City, affecting more than 100 families. In its aftermath, Tzu Chi volunteers arrived on the scene to distribute rice, mosquito nets, and other daily supplies to help the victims get through the tough times. Tzu Chi's efforts not only eased the affected residents' anxious minds, they also inspired compassion in them.
In the Philippines, a fire broke out in Pasay City, affecting more than 100 families. After assessing their needs, Tzu Chi volunteers decided to distribute aid supplies. Then the volunteers lead the fire victims in prayers. Facing this disaster, many residents are still recovering emotionally. Fortunately, Tzu Chi volunteers' assistance and care have eased their anxious hearts.
We are very grateful for getting the spoons, plates, and rice. We do not have to buy these items and we can cook the rice. It's such a relief.
Papasalamat po kami sa inyo.
What you brought us today lessened our burdens. We are very grateful.
It is also my dream to help my fellow countrymen. If given the chance, I'd like to become a volunteer.
The affected residents have vowed to repay Tzu Chi's assistance and help others after they rebuild their homes and lives.
In Ladysmith, South Africa, many rural communities are plagued by poverty. Many residents are immigrants from Lesotho who have settled here in hopes of finding a job in the industrial areas, while some even scavenge the garbage dump to survive. To help, Tzu Chi volunteers held a distribution on May 20th at the Tzu Chi school and again on May 23rd in the community of Mbulwane.
The truck transporting Tzu Chi's rice arrives on scene with a flat tire and is moving forward at a snail's pace. Tzu Chi's rice distribution in Ladysmith is taking place here at the Tzu Chi school. Local residents help move away large rocks lying in the middle of the road. As soon as the truck arrives, a large crowd had already gathered at the venue. Some residents grew frustrated waiting in the 13 degrees Celsius cold, and people began to push and shove. Order was finally restored and the distribution ready to begin. Even the former principal of the school came to assist at the distribution, expected to benefit 850 families. As the poor struggle to put food on the table, these bags of rice will ensure that they don't go hungry in the coming days. Residents happily expressed their thanks to the volunteers upon receiving the rice. Among those at the distribution were the old and frail.
I raise my 2 grandchildren with the pension I get from the government.
Everyone works together to distribute the rice. Even female volunteers are not daunted by all the heavy lifting. Many residents of Mbulwane community are immigrants from Lesotho who are not entitled to apply for child support grants or older persons grants provided by the government. Here, many scavenge the garbage dumps to survive.
Originally, my son had a job in Ladysmith, but when the factory closed down, he became unemployed.
I make a living looking after 3 children.
Because of poverty, hopelessness and despair once flourished here. Now, with the care of Tzu Chi volunteers, love and hope is also starting to blossom.
You're happy? In the past few years, the world has been under constant threat of terrorism, which many attribute to extreme religious beliefs. At the UN conference for DPI NGO held in South Korea, the topic of religious education in countering extreme terrorism was held, with a discussion about how to educate people about different religious beliefs to help ease the tension and misconception about certain faiths. On the second day of the 66th DPI NGO conference, different topics are being discussed. Among them is religious education in countering extreme terrorism. Tzu Chi was invited to share its views on this matter.
很多时候我们在讨论宗教的教育的。
When we hold discussions on the role religion plays in education, people have a tendency to make distinctions of the differences in each person's faith. However, what we should be focused on are commonalities. We are all humans. We only have one earth. We should work together to accomplish something good instead.
在一起能够做到什么好事。
Though Tzu Chi is a religious-based charity organization, it continues to welcome exchanges and discussions with members of different faiths.
There's a tendency to ignore it and act as if it will go away, or to act as if it's somehow of secondary nature importance to culture or politics. But the fact is it's very, very important, and it's a very important piece of human development going forward. So we need to think constructively about religion, about how we educate around religion, etc.
I believe that my faith is best. My God is perfect.
During discussions on religious topics, heated moments may occur, but it doesn't have to interrupt or stop a discussion. In any case, extreme actions around the world are causing more unrest in people's hearts. Only through cooperation among different faiths can we really combat terrorism, educating the public about the true beliefs of each religion. The 66th DPI AGO conference also attracted local students in South Korea who are looking to gain new perspectives on what's going on in different countries and understand how faith plays an important role in education on an international level. Here's Eung Chao-hong, our reporter from Malaysia, with the report.
Besides the 64 booths at the 66th DPI NGO conference, this religious education topic has also attracted local Korean students who didn't have to travel far to gain a new perspective of the educational agenda of different countries.
So I can learn more about what the world is going through, not just in Asia, but just around the world, Africa, Mexico, is anywhere, and what we can do to help.
As a student, we didn't even expect what we could just do with the world, but coming to this, we could learn more about the world and what we learn, what we the kids could do for the world.
Doing more for the planet seems to be on the next generation's mind. With the tagline of the world's greenest cruise ship, the EcoShip project hopes to set sail in 2020 and embark on a journey of learning and exchanging ideas with the places it visits. Meanwhile, this conference also gave students a further understanding of a religion they're not familiar with.
I never knew about Buddhist foundation or because I only knew Christian foundation or Christian organization that doing some charity or volunteering work. So for me, it was first time to see that based on Buddhism or Buddhist organization. So it was really interesting.
As education should start at a young age, it is hoped that through this conference, the next generation can further understand the importance of a well-rounded education.
Many people feel that scrap metal should be simply sent to a steel factory and smelted into new products, but in the eyes of others, such as artists, this material is treasured as it can take on new meaning. Follow our report as to how old scrap metal can be given new life.
This scrapyard contains vital resources which can help execute the blueprint for the city of the future.
At the moment, Taiwan's scrap metal supply isn't sufficient to be self-sustaining. Generally speaking, about 30 to 40% of total volume is imported scrap metal.
Scrap metal is used in everything from the subway tracks of the mass rapid transit system, as well as nearly half of the beams in new buildings. These steel materials began as scrap metal and were melted down and recast, a process which is technically quite difficult.
What we make here, only a few companies around the world are able to do this. We sell to the United States, Europe, Australia, New Zealand. Our products have done very well over there, as many embrace products from recycled steel.
Recycling scrap metal for future use in construction not only saves resources, but can also be a source of profit.
Using scrap metal and mine ore produce nearly equivalent amounts, 10 million tons of steel. Currently, Taiwan has more than a dozen electric arc steel-making furnaces, with little problem producing output value between 12 and 15 billion US dollars.
Sending scrap metal to steel plants to produce new metal saves resources. However, some believe that scrap metal, even when subjected to wind and rain causing rust, should be treasured for its unique character. At the end of April, Taoyuan County's Cultural Bureau held an exhibition with the theme of sculpture made from scrap metal. All these materials were once discarded, though in the eyes of this artist, they can take on a totally new role.
This is all iron. Early on, you could see the color changed, and you can see that I helped retain this. It's like a newly germinated seed, and here you can see this crack in its place, which is the most difficult part.
Using scrap metal as its medium, this work resembles the germination of a seed and breaking out of a shell. In the hands of this metal sculptor, Ye Bu-yun, a number of environmental and ecological issues are conveyed, asking people to reflect upon waste and new life.
There is less and less all iron. If we don't give it new life, it will simply be collected as scrap and sent to steel factories to be melted down, which I think is unfortunate.
Using scrap metal for his creations, each work is different because of the shape and the corrosion on each piece of scrap metal is quite unique. Also, the texture can be different, as Ye's works cannot be copied or duplicated.
当拿到材料的时候，就要先打磨。
An old blacksmith, Ye bears the scars of his work on his spine, hands and feet, and even his eyes. His hearing has also been compromised, but he says iron and steel can be recycled forever, as he believes in the spirit of recycling and passing his heritage to the next generation.
Ironworking began in ancient times. Things from hundreds of years ago are still around. You cannot discard them after just a few decades. Before, water buckets were made from metal, but now they have been replaced by plastic. There's no kidding.
At the end of the day, as the sun sets on this metalworking studio, this artist is seeking new ways to work with materials and reduce the amount of industrial waste. We should all learn from his wisdom and follow the pace of nature's cycle to promote a cleaner, healthier earth.
In 2015, Taiwan recycled 293 million tons of paper products. Of that amount, over 90% was successfully processed for reuse. To demonstrate some of the many uses of recycled paper, over 600 students from 38 universities recently cooperated to showcase some creative uses of paper products. Also at the event were a group of high school girls who put on a stunning traditional dance performance using costumes made from cardboard and paper.
People at this event were surprised by this stunning performance. These 8 generals of Chinese folklore performing their traditional dance are actually a group of high school students that put a lot of work into this performance and their costumes, which are made completely from recycled cardboard.
We made paper costumes with a traditional look and adjusted it to fit a girl. Then we decided to do a little bit more and added these different pieces as well.
Of course, I'm very happy. Actually, they really went beyond our hopes and expectations. We never expected kids to put that much effort into the performance and make it so stunning.
But the creativity on display by young people at the event doesn't stop there. These impressive cardboard skateboards are the handiwork of Chunggong University students in the industrial design and mechanical engineering departments.
The most important part is the wheels. You have to design to wheels and axle so they will actually roll. The wheels have to be large. Once you realize that, it makes for a better design.
In addition to many other creative applications for recycled paper that students put on display here today, many also participated in a competitive game using paper-crafted armor, weapons, and vehicles. With impressive inventions and fun activities, this event was a great opportunity for young people to practice teamwork and promote recycling in society, all the while showcasing their own ingenuity and creative spirit.
In celebrating the upcoming Dragon Boat Festival next week, Tzu Chi volunteers made more than 500 sticky rice dumplings for the residents at the Nantou Education and Nursing Institute. Although these residents cannot spend the holiday with their families, they are now feeling the familial warmth brought by these volunteers.
Tzu Chi volunteers are mindfully preparing ingredients for healthy vegetarian sticky rice dumplings. Even an 87-year-old grandma has come to help out.
It is very good. I am very happy. Everyone took the initiative to help out.
After washing the leaves, the volunteers stuffed the fillings into the sticky rice dumplings, imbued with their best wishes. Then the volunteers brought the steamed sticky rice dumplings to Nantou Education and Nursing Institution for the residents who cannot spend Dragon Boat Festival with their families. Many residents welcomed the volunteers with warm hugs.
Bringing festivities to our children here, they make the children feel blessed.
We did the least we could. We can spend some time and make the society a better place.
The master hopes that we can inspire the entrepreneurs to be compassionate. With love, they will be rich among the rich.
Besides delivering 524 vegetarian sticky rice dumplings to Nantou Education and Nursing Institution, the volunteers also brought 400 of them to the Nantou Detention Center, helping spread cheer over the upcoming holiday.
In Australia's Gold Coast, Tzu Chi volunteers have been demonstrating vegetarian cooking at Ipswich State High School. The latest cooking class saw volunteers demonstrate ways to cook fried noodles and fried banana dumplings. To express their gratitude, students made donations to help Tzu Chi rebuild schools in quake-torn Nepal.
In the classroom, Tzu Chi volunteers are making fried dumplings with banana filling. In addition, they demonstrate how to make vegetarian fried noodles. At the first vegetarian cooking class held at Ipswich State High School in 2016, 250 students from 7th to 12th grade are here to sample a vegetarian lunch. Seeing how the students enjoy these dishes, one can tell the volunteers have been successful in promoting vegetarian fare. Later, students eagerly join a question and answer session, impressing volunteers with their familiarity with the Tzu Chi Foundation.
Yep, 19. 66. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, thank you.
Before the volunteers leave, teachers and students alike make donations to help Tzu Chi rebuild schools in quake-torn Nepal.
I just had heaps of loose change.
But you want to help the Tzu Chi to help the Nepal to build the school, correct?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Since 2011, Tzu Chi volunteers in Gold Coast have started serving and bonding with the residents of Ipswich. This time, the kind gestures by students show once again that love is universal.
Tzu Chi volunteers have long been promoting vegetarianism, and recently some volunteers were invited by a company in Reifang to share the vegetarian meals they have prepared. After tasting the vegetarian food, many company employees remarked that it is not only good for their health, but also light and tasty.
Tzu Chi volunteers are already busy at the Reifang office in the early morning as they are preparing vegetarian meals. They are only making around 70 sparks meals, but they still take it seriously. They started the planning days ago.
We don't buy the ready-made ones from the market. We make them ourselves because we're promoting healthy vegetarian food.
Tzu Chi volunteers are invited by a company in the industrial zone in Reifang, Taiwan, to share vegetarian meals with the company's employees.
People nowadays tend to have enough money, but they are spiritually deprived, so they feel the need by eating. If I am on holiday today, I will go to Taipei or Keelung for a big meal, but it will cause burdens to my body. It's better to have vegetarian meals.
Vegetarian meals taste quite light, and I feel it's good for our health.
Vegetarian meals are made up mostly of fresh vegetables, so they have a lot of fibers and are good for the body. If we eat too much meat, our body will become more acidic.
Eating vegetarian meals is good for the earth. The box meals the volunteers have prepared have also changed people's perception about vegetarian meal.
The Tzu Chi Jingsi Hall in Kaohsiung held an event to stimulate memory functions amongst the elderly. This time it was a simple gardening event which helped spur basic brain functions and ward off potential deterioration.
可以顺便运动到我们手的肌耐力哈，就稍微给它捏一捏。
The elderly must use a little strength to transfer these plants into pots. If they cannot do it, the volunteers are there to help them. This is not an ordinary gardening class. This class, taught by a teacher with a background in horticultural therapy, helps the elderly preserve their memories. These rotten pots were used in older era, so they can remind these elder people about their childhood memories.
While caring for these plants, the elderly realize they can still enjoy fulfilling lives. They don't need to be confined by their bodies, as it's important to have a young heart.
These elderly can get some relief by working with these green plants.
就有一种来到家的感觉。对，因为就对我们很好。
This gardening class allows the elderly to use their hands and also their brains, so it's good for their brains as well as their health.
In Malaysia, the Tzu Chi Malacca chapter has invited an experienced Tzu Chi volunteer from Indonesia to share her Tzu Chi experiences. During her talks, Jia Wenyu explained how volunteers in Indonesia helped clean up the Angke River and build DaAi villages. Her experiences inspired volunteers in Malaysia to continue carrying out Tzu Chi's work diligently.
那个大约是10多天，一直沉在水里。
At the Tzu Chi Malacca chapter, Tzu Chi volunteer Jia Wenyu from Indonesia has been invited to share her Tzu Chi experiences. Her talks on how Tzu Chi helped clean Angke River and build DaAi villages deeply impressed volunteers in Malaysia.
We're constructing Jingsi Hall in Moore right now. Therefore, I hope to learn from her and work with everyone to complete the construction of Jingsi Hall in Moore.
The master said that only love can eliminate hostility.
Indonesia has the largest Muslim population in the world, so promoting Tzu Chi there is not an easy feat. However, Jia explains that with determination, nothing is too difficult.
We can see that she inspires compassion in other people with her work.
Everything arises from love. With love, follow in the master's footsteps with compassion. Just move forward.
Sharing her 21 years of Tzu Chi experience, Jia has inspired volunteers in Malaysia to remain steadfast on their Tzu Chi paths.
It's not an everyday occurrence to have the good fortune to be able to save someone's life. Tzu Chi volunteers in Kaohsiung and Pingtung recently held an event to encourage students to join the stem cell donor registry in order to give someone on the waiting list a second chance at life. We will leave you with these images at the end of the program. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.